Good morning, quilt people and seekers of the world. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Happy Valentine's Day, I guess. Anyhow, I'm excited about today's topic, delusion all. Wow. What's that mean? Delusional. 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 Eventually, if you say it enough time, you get to what? Delusional. Oh, is this helpful? That's why this lesson was such a scratch on the record. Because when my teacher brought me to this point, I was shocked, confused, and while it made sense, it stood counter to everything that I had known up until this point. It was one of those lessons that completely changes the landscape of your understanding. So for me, as we talked about in here over and over and over again, the number one enemy of the work has always been illusion. And yet, in this latest lesson and learning, my teacher was asking me to be nothing but delusional. And so, it kind of called out, where am I with that? Where am I in illusion or delusion? Because if illusion is the number one enemy of the work, and yet I'm being told that why I'm not manifesting fast enough is because I'm not being delusional enough. And that's the incredible thing about this work is that, there's just always another layer to it. There's always another lesson that changes everything that's gone before. So being delusional, if that is, in fact, the guidance that I'm being given, because my issue was, why am I not manifesting fast enough? Why has this not happened? Why am I not yet a world-famous author whose books get easily turned into blockbuster films that help evolve the consciousness of man? If that's who I am, and I have been studying manifesting, why isn't it here? And so that was the issue that I took before my teacher. And again, his comment was that I'm not living enough in the imaginal mind, that I'm seeing reality instead of the dream. And that in order to bring the dream into this plane, which is real, which has laws of physics, which has understandings that we know, right? If you're trying to bring the dream into this plane, the only thing that can do that for you, is your vibe. You are the conduit between that vision that you want for your life, that which you are seeking for yourself, and the earth timeline, the earth events, the earth stuff. And so we talked about that for a while, that I was still living in this world, not the world of my North Star. So I'm like, okay, so you're telling me that I cannot see this world, that I cannot comment on this world, and that to even do so much as a to-do list based off of the information that I am receiving from this world is incorrect. That the correct way to bring about faster manifestation is to only see the dream, is to only live in the dream, is to only talk about what's happening in the dream. Our manifesting slows down when we start talking about all this that's going on around us, which is clearly true, right? There's clearly lack all around you if you choose to see it. There is clearly angst and frustration and anger and terrible people if you choose to see it. But to bring about change, our vibe, our way in the world, our words, all of that have to be the thing that actually brings it all into alignment in the physical plane. Because if you're in the physical plane and you're dealing with the physical plane and you're languaging the physical plane and you're talking about everything that you're seeing and that you're doing, like there's no change there from this plane to another. And the another that we're trying to get to is your North Star. So I said to my teacher, I'm like, really? Like, I cannot in any way be informed by my five senses. You just want me to be completely delusional. And he said, now you're getting it. And I was like, what? So you want me to be completely delusional. You want me to live only in my North Star. You want me to only talk about, see, and behave in that manner. I brought a visual tool that might help us kind of get there. Let's see. Eek. All right, here we go. So this right here is my North Star. This is the real world, is what we call the real world, right? Which is the thing that your five senses is informing you about. But if we talk about this world, we get more of this world. However, when we completely become delusional to the vision of our North Star, right? Now, what am I doing? I'm only seeing myself as a world-famous author. That's all I see. That's all I interact with. And even though I go about my day and I'm driving to work and I'm going on my way, I'm not seeing the world as it is. I am seeing the world as it could be. I am seeing the world in a way that I wish to bring about. I'm manifesting the change. I'm bringing in the dream. And it's me only seeing this and only informing myself of my North Star no matter what I'm doing here on the planet. Whether I'm cooking dinner, whether I'm driving to work, whether I'm talking to friends, I still, in my mind, only live in the imaginal place, in the North Star, in that which I am trying to bring about onto this world. To inform ourselves of that's what's going on around us, again, is to bring in more of that. But I don't want more of that because what I got going on right now, I'm focused on the North Star. I'm focused on where I'm going. I'm focused on what I'm bringing about. And so that was his comment for me to only stay here, just stay in my North Star. That's the only place that matters. That's the only thing that matters. That is the only thing I see. That is the only thing I talk about. That is the only thing I live in. That's the only place I visit. That's it. That's the whole world. And so when we're trying to switch planes, let's say for an example that you're on the Earth plane, but I'm trying to get to the North Star, right? And so that happens through an opening of a door. And the opening of a door goes like this. I'm on Earth, opening of a door, right? And so when I'm on Earth, I open the door to see this. I start here, but then I enter the new plane here, right? And it's all from here that informs out there. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. I saw those that we got for Christmas, and I'm like, oh, that's the perfect visual aid to help explain the imaginal mind. To try and live only in the imaginal mind. But here's the other thing about that whole mindset, right? Let's look at this. This is our mindset. What we talked about last time, how most people are, they have their version of the world strapped onto their face and they're trying to fix and fight what they're seeing without ever being aware that, oh, now it's talking to me. That all they have to do is switch what's being shown in here, right? Not fix the world. Fix this. Fix your vision. Fix what it is that you're seeing. This thing, I got it turned on now, is just talking away, so I'm just going to close it up in a little box here. I didn't know it could talk. But do you see what I'm saying? To be fully committed to your illusion or your North Star, right, is the place where change can happen, where you can bring about a difference. Otherwise, it's just more of the same. And if that's what you want, that's great. But look at where more of the same has gotten us, because more of the same usually lives in fix and fight. That's just the human way. That's just the earthbound try and effort and, duality of the human mind that lives in good and bad and right and wrong. What we're trying to get to eventually is having more conscious humans on Earth. A conscious human operates differently. A conscious human is motivated by love, not by their own personal sense of righteousness of what's good and bad and right and wrong. The egoic mind only lives in duality. It can't understand or comprehend its own death, which is where you need to get to. Can you get there? Can you evolve past the duality of good and bad? Can you see the world as it is and bless it? Knowing that it's all happening for a reason. Knowing that you're in charge of everything that you see. Knowing that you are God. And that if there's a change to be had in this world, then that's up to you to bring it into the here and now. There's no complaint. There's no enemy. When you evolve past duality, there is no enemy, there is no devil, there is no Satan. There's no one acting in a way opposing you. The only one opposing you and where you want to go is you. And that's where the real trial lives. I recently had the opportunity to really shift my vibration. I've done it a couple times in here. And for me, that is the work. When, I published all my books and like none of my friends showed up, like nobody was curious or interested and it was just so isolating and so painful. And so, I just felt like my world was ending because I had, all these relationships that I thought were my support system. And there was just nobody, right? So and as I did for a couple of years, really experience that as pain. But I also had the opportunity in that to see how that pain was living in service to lack. Right? It wasn't living in service to the abundance of what could be. It was living in service to what was happening here on Earth. And I needed to put on my goggles, right? And only see the North Star. This is the greatest part. I often use a physical prompt within myself in order to remind myself of my energy work and the lesson I'm currently working on. When I was working on trust, I had a trust button right here. And anytime I needed more trust in what was happening, right, I just dial up the trust by touching my trust button right here that I installed for myself. And whenever I hit it, the trust level in what's happening goes up. There's always a physical prompt for me in order to, and I do this a lot in my shamanic healing sessions with people, to help them get there more quickly. So the difference between living in the world of man, which is everything that you're seeing now, which is the news, which is the Middle East, which is all the religions, which is all the things, which is the good and the bad and the right and the wrong, and people talking about evil and then wondering why there's evil. Right? All that stuff. The earthbound plane, it lives down here, right? And so when I feel myself going into the world of man, when I feel myself having, unacceptable results to me with my efforts, that's all living in the world of man. And that all lives down here. However, the prompt for me in my next level of learning goes like this. if I'm down here and I'm depressed and I'm like working on things like schedules and people's results and all that and the world of man, and that's all I'm seeing, and I can feel myself like going into that place of lack, that, you know, they're just not showing up for me. Like, I can't do this on my own. It's too much. Like, and I've been, you know, sick and like, I'm just trying to get my, oh my gosh. Do you see? All that lives down here. But what happens when I look to my North Star? Suddenly, none of this down here matters. It doesn't matter that they showed up or didn't, because I'm a best-selling author whose books gets turned into blockbuster films that easily help, you know, evolve the consciousness of man. Like, as soon as I take my sight off the world of man and lift it to my vision of where I'm heading, none of this matters. All this can be crazy and disappointing and troubling and, you know, unsafe all at once, because it doesn't matter. I don't even see it. I got my goggles on and I'm only seeing that which I create for myself because I know it's coming true. I can see it and it approaches to me every single day. But it can't, again, happen in the future. It has to be happening in the here and now. I have to be owning the vibe of being a best-selling author. I have to fill myself with that truth. It can't be true in the future. It has to be true now. I'm not going to be a best-selling author. I am a best-selling author. And how you start to work with that is looking for evidence that is true. Can you do that? Let's take an example of my childhood, which was, as I have detailed in many books now. I gotta work that out. Want to come along on the journey? Everybody enjoy my trauma. So, my childhood, I could look at it one of two ways. Like, I really could, as I often have, is relay the extremely troubling parts, is to relay the lovelessness that I experienced. But while that's one version, it doesn't have to be my truth. I can choose a different truth of my history. And not that we ever really want to look at or examine our history. There's no healing there. Don't ever go there. But if you want to heal yourself of that which has gone on, you can do so by changing the story. Change your story about everything. In doing so, you will change your vibe. I have taken my vibe from one very much of lack, very much of people not showing up for me, very much of anger and frustration, to beauty. Right? And I can look at every single person who has showed up for me. And while it might not have been the story that I wanted it to be, there certainly were tons of people who showed up for me. I mean, thousands of people have read my life story. So I could focus on that. I can talk about that. I can read their reviews, or it could be over here fixated on that which didn't work like I thought it was going to. Both are true. It's a choice. In basic manifesting, a lot of people don't kind of start the process correctly. Like we talked about before, any ask of the universe that you make will be returned with the same energy in which it was sent. So if you're sending, an ask of, oh, I want these people to, not exist, or I want these people to be marginalized, or you have some kind of toxic ask of the universe that you send out, well, it's going to come back raging at you with toxicity, right? Some people call that karma. But it's a choice to look at something and begin to language it differently. I only fill myself now with statements of abundance. Start there. Don't start with $1 million. That's down the road. If you haven't started to manifest, start with small things like your vibe. Start manifesting you differently, then that in turn will manifest differently for you out in the world. I mean, start with, rather than I want $1 million or I want, this or that. And not that you can't do that, you can. But until you have like the proof, the belief in your mind that what you're doing actually contains results, you won't get the results because you don't believe in the results. Okay, I'm asking for $1 million, but do I really believe that someone is just going to come along and hand me $1 million? And until you get to the point where that is a true statement for you, your manifesting will not materialize because the belief in it is not there. So start with something more tangible that you can begin to see real world results. Start with, I have everything I have ever needed and I always will. Start with an abundant statement, a statement of abundance to fill yourself with the idea that there is no opponent. No one is against you. Only you're against you. Only you and your statements of lack are against you. There's no opponent. It is blue sky. Anything you want. Blue sky. All you have to do is ask for it and believe that that is true for you. There's no opponent. No one is opposing you except you. And what are you doing to be on either side of that equation? Are you living in the solution, in the abundance, in the every thought says to me, I have everything I have ever needed and I always will? I have everything I have ever asked for and I always will. I have everything I have ever chosen and I always will. These statements of abundance to fill yourself, start there. Don't start with $1 million, okay? Start with changing you to be more in alignment with the abundance that you seek. If you're not starting there and seeing real results, start there and then also start confirming to yourself that what you're asking for is coming true. Ask yourself to see it. Ask yourself to call it out oh, there it is. Oh, see, look, my ask is coming true. I got a new follower today. I'm on my way to being a world famous author. I am on my way. And there's nobody who can tell me differently. That is my truth. That is my North Star. That is the only thing that I see. That is the only world I live in. I do not see this other. And so even when I'm driving in my car, right, I'm fully in the North Star. I'm not in my car. I'm in my, car that I'm going to buy once I'm a billionaire. And I'm visualizing that. And I'm only seeing that, and I'm only talking about that, and it's the only thing that I will accept. And anything that does not align with that falls away. So, be delusional. Why not? And while it stands counter to much of the learning that we've done in here where, the unreal, the illusionary, thought constructs are what to abandon. However, when you get to this point, you got to take control of the illusion and begin to work it for your purpose, right? Because you have to be the change, and the change can only happen in the here and now, never in the future. Anyways, that's where we are today. I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye.